Hello, my name's Malalawa. What's your name?
My name is Sade Sangowawa. Actually, everybody calls me Sade, but my name is Fola Sade Sangowawa.
How's your day going?
So far, so good, actually. Brilliant so far. How's yours?
Good. Thank you so much for accepting the opportunity to take part and T-Shade in this title, as this exhibition is Conquering the Unimaginable.
You're welcome.
When and why did you come?
Why did I come to this country? It's a long story. Do you have the time?
Yes.
I came back to this country in 1991, and that's because the only way I can put it is my husband wanted to come back here, so that's the reason why I came back here.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Nigeria.
What do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? That's a massive question. I do consultancy work. I'm a cultural awareness trainer. I help people get work, so I'm into employability. I work with young people, empowering young people, supporting future leaders, I call it. And I also do events. So I do the Taste of Africa, the Youth Awards, Carnival. I wear different hats.
What were the different challenges you faced when you came?
When I came here to England in 90, it's a long time now. I came 91. I was in London, and it was equally very difficult to get a job. So I had to start all over again. That means starting from the bottom, from cleaning houses, to just doing menial jobs just to get employment. And then I moved from there into trainee management position. And that's despite the fact that I'd worked and I have degrees, from both Nigeria and US. I really couldn't, let me say it was very difficult to get a job. So that was a challenge when I first came. But I quickly realized that for me to move on professionally in this country, I need to understand the culture of the people I was dealing with, and I need to probably start well below where I am, and sort of going at a much lower level to understand how the work environment works, and then work my way up. Hence, I eventually took on a trainee position in Burger King. And then from then, things moved on. So that was one. Then I moved here to the Tees Valley, Middlesbrough. And that was a challenge. It was a challenge because I couldn't get a job. Despite all my degrees and qualifications, there were few Black people here. So I think also that played a part in people not understanding, Black people, who we are, what we are, how educated we are, do we even go to school? And I couldn't get a job for quite a while until a short story I always tell about Hartlepool. No agency in Middlesbrough offered me an interview at all for anything, but an agency in Hartlepool called me up for interested in who I was and my qualifications. So I'm always very grateful to Hartlepool.
You mentioned,
so it was a challenge.
Yes, you mentioned having degrees, or as you said, do you think discrimination played a part in you not even getting to the first stage of your other jobs that you could have?
Yes, it was discrimination. I remember a young girl, and it was on Albert Road, I never forget. And one day, in those days, you used to take your CV into the recruitment agencies. And then you check up on if there are any opportunities later. And one day she said to me, I don't know what's going on. Most times you're usually the most qualified, but you never get a call up for interview. And I remember saying to her, don't worry about it. I know what's going on. I said, don't worry, it's okay. Yes, it was discrimination, but I think for me, what's important is not giving up, not making that the focus. So for me, it was, I really don't care what you think. I'm going to keep on fighting. My job as an unemployed person at that point in time, I used to say to myself, is to make you look at me as an individual with qualifications, not to look at me as a black person, because it has nothing to do with it. And that became my passion and my drive, that whenever I go for if I ever got an interview in Tees Valley, I used to say to myself, I'm going to go in there, be professional, prove to them that I can do the job, and make them not see my color, because my color has nothing to do with what's in my brain. So it was discrimination. But on a positive note, getting a color from Atlipo is also a testament to not to just take what people say for granted, not to just take what people say sometimes, or a stereotype of people as is. I was told, a number of people said, don't go to Atlipo, that I don't want to be there. But I decided to go wanting to find out what's so wrong with Atlipo. But there's nothing wrong with Atlipo. They gave me my opportunity for a job. But if I had listened to the stereotype, I probably wouldn't have gone for that interview with the agency. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten anything for even a longer period of time.
Yes.
So stereotype can be a very dangerous thing.
Also, please can you tell us any of your success story?
Success story. Over the years, I've worked with a number of people, young and old, either in getting them into work, either in supporting them, either in empowering them, either in training. And for me, success has always been seeing someone that I've supported move on in life. That movement could be they just get a menial job. For them, if it is an advancement, for me, that's joy for me. For me, that's success. I've seen a lot of young people who've become adults and married children, and I get called grandma a lot now, because somewhere along the line, maybe God has used me to touch their lives at different times, and they've moved on, and they're doing great. I know a number of young people that have been part of Taste of Africa, which is, for me, one of the biggest successes of my career. Seeing those people, those young people, those older people doing great now, doing well. Definition of great or success is different. For me, success could be getting a job. For somebody else, success could be making $1 million. For another, success could be, it could be becoming a manager. Some success could be passing GCSE. Whatever that point is, for me, that's a pride for me, that's success for me. That's how I look at my success, that I have been used by God, one way in my career or in the things that I've done to touch people's lives positively and to see them thrive. That's joy. And by the way, from time to time, I do get taken to lunch by young people who've become adults now. I say, Auntie, I'd like to take you to lunch and I'll pay. And I'm going, finally, somebody's going to pay for me. So that's success when you see that growth, that somebody's journey. You see them moving on in their journey. And just being part of their journey, for me, is success. But the greatest success will be my husband, my kids, that they still keep hanging around with me. Despite all the initiatives I take up, they're still standing and saying, they're my greatest cheerleaders, and I think they're my greatest success.
What helped you overcome the challenges you faced?
What helped me overcome the challenges? I think it probably will be determination. The determination that I'm going to write my story. I refuse to be bound by the stories that society has put on me as a Black woman. I refuse to just lay down and die. I refuse to pander to the stereotype of the Black person. So my drive is always been, I'm going to write the story I want to write about myself. I'm going to live the life I want to live. I know it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be quite a challenge. But at the end of the day, it is my life and my story. And I've chosen to write it the way I want. So that's been my driving force. And that's been the driving force for all the people that I have touched their lives, to make them realize that it is their life. They've got to write their story, and should never, ever let anybody derail them from their journey. That doesn't mean life is going to be easy, because sometimes when you choose to do that, things are difficult. You'll have challenges like everybody else, but you stick with it. Somebody asked me a question about Taste of Africa and said, did you ever think Taste of Africa will last this long? And I said, this is the 20th year. When I started, I never thought it would even go past 5 years. But I think once I started using it as a tool to break down the stereotype of Black people, that's the point of Taste of Africa. To portray the positive side of Black people and its people that people don't see, because the stereotype people see is what they see on TV, the gangster, the drugs, the guns, and you think, actually, we're a whole lot more, and the stereotype they see is what society wants people to see. It's like the newspaper. If you ever pick up a newspaper, you're only reading what that person wants you to know, not the rest. There's always a whole lot more to a story, isn't it? But what you see in the newspaper is a couple of pages, is done this. So for me, Taste of Africa started to address issues, and then quickly realized that actually this is a tool to not only break down stereotypes, but also a tool that we can use to educate people, to support Africans in terms of employment, to support Black youths in terms of volunteering and development and empowerment and future leaders. And you think, actually, we'll keep fighting for this event, despite the fact that we struggled to get support for it. The community itself kept coming together to make sure it happened every year. And we just kept it going. A few years back, we actually didn't have any money for it. And I remember vividly saying, you know what, we just won't do it. And 2 young people came up and said, no, we're going to do it. One of them paid for the staging. One of them paid for the PA system and the lights. When you see that, and there were young people who grew up in Taste of Africa who would become adults, who felt, no, it was very good for me, it helped me. we can't stop it because it's helping young people, it's helping people. It's about self-pride. It's about this is me. A Taste of Africa is exactly what it says. A Taste of Africa. You get to know who we are, how we behave, how we think. Highly educated people, beautiful culture, beautiful people. And you get to you get to decide how you see us and understand who we are. So looking at it from that point of view, you keep going because it serves a purpose beyond your community. It serves a purpose for Tees Valley and the Northeast. Taste of Africa is the longest African event in the whole of the Northeast. Not planned to be like that, but because of perseverance, persistence, determination, you roll it on. We've all been trying. A lot of young people, a lot of adults, a lot of communities supporting, even communities that are not African, they support the event because they understand and appreciate why we do it in Black History Month. So why? What's kept me going? The encouragement from people. Because a lot of people will walk up and say, we know what you're doing is hard. Keep it up. And sometimes you don't realize how impactful somebody's comment can be. Simple comment like, well done. We know it's hard, but keep going. We're right behind you. It gives you encouragement, on the days when you go into a meeting and they look at you and they're talking to you and you feel like, are you for real? Would you say that if I wasn't Black? But then you remember, or you want to give up. I won't tell a lie. There have been times I'd want to give up and do something else. And I do other things. But then I remember the purpose for which we started it, the people it supported, the reason, how much impact Taste of Africa has in the community of Teesside and the Northeast. And then you say to yourself, no, we'll keep going. And now we have a number of young people who are supporting it, taking aspects of it and running through it with pride. So that keeps me going. Anything else? I think probably my husband, if I may say so. He quietly encourages. Every time I say, I think I've had enough, he will say, okay, let's rewind. Let's think about this. Okay. And give me a bit of encouragement again that, you're not doing it, you've never done this for yourself. You're doing it for other people, for the generation to come, so that we have, as well.
Do you have any words of encouragement to people who are coming in this country now?
People who are coming in, one thing I'll say to them is learn to mix with other communities. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of who you are. Don't feel anybody is better than you are. You're equals when you come in here. But more importantly, don't just stick to your own community. Learn to network with other people. Because when you learn to network with other people, you learn to understand how this country works, how the system works, what you need to do, how you need to do things. Because the way things are done here will most likely be different from the way things happen in your own country. And since you're living here, you need to understand how it works here to make your journey easier or to enable you to navigate the system better. I would encourage them not just to work, but also to volunteer and to be involved in community activities, so that not only that makes them aware of the culture better, but it also enables them to look at opportunities that actually are here, living in Tees Valley. There are loads of opportunities, either for business, for learning, for children. Living here is beautiful. You have a lot of places you could go to, you know, well-balanced life you could. It's reasonable living in Tees Valley compared to if you were living in London. It's reasonable. There are good schools here. So there's a lot going on for this area, but for you to enjoy the benefits of it, people who are coming in need to also learn to integrate and understand and mix, not just with black people, but everybody else. I always say mix with black, blue, green, yellow, orange, everybody. Because we're all different. We all have different ideas. We all have different skills. We all have different experiences. And when you mix with a diverse group, you learn a whole lot more than if you just stay in your own cocoon. That would be my honest, greatest advice. Because if you mix, it works. It makes the journey less tedious, and probably the journey shorter in terms of learning and exposure. That would be my advice.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll let you know when the exhibition will start. We are hoping in September we'll go in all different museums and at different times. Now it's time for your pictures. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, and you are absolutely wonderful.